There are so many shampoos out there. How do you go about choosing the right one for your hair type? And when it comes to the process on wash day, what's to do? Well, keep on watching if you want to know exactly how to get the best out of your shampoo. Hello and welcome to the world of Craig. Yes, that's me, I'm Craig, and this is my channel where we get into all things hair and sometimes a little bit of beauty. How quickly can I say it? And welcome to episode 2 of how to get the best from... Yes, this episode, as you already know, is all about shampoo. I started this series with my box dye video. Yes, with how to get the best from box dye. I don't call it that, I call it home hair colour. And you really enjoyed that video, so I have made this a series. We're going to do shampoo, we will probably do conditioners and treatments, we might do hot tools. If there's anything you'd like to see in this best of series, let me know in the comments. But it makes sense to bring you this one that's all about shampoo because I know so many people are confused as to know what to actually buy and then how do you get the best out of it, because goodness only knows in this world of digital platforms and social media there are a lot of myths out there which we are going to dispel. So that's enough of that, but let's get on with how to get the best out of your shampoo. Don't point at the screen, Craig. Yes, I've got my teenage iPad. I did a lot of research for this video. Yes, it's covered in a cover that has scratch and sniff stickers. Remember those? I used to collect those back in the day when I was a wee child. So I've done a lot of research on this because I want to make sure that I give you the right facts, and you might be surprised by some of the things I'm going to tell you. But as always, if you enjoy this and you find it helpful, you know what to do. And I have an Instagram that's full of my hair day to day. And my Instagram is not the same as this, not the same username as my channel. It's Craig's World of Hair, as you've just seen. So let's get into how to get the best from shampoo. The first of all, it might be a bit of a revelation, but there are so many nuances to what shampoo will be good for you, okay? And it's not always what goes into the shampoo, or it might not be. For example, if you have thicker textured hair, you might not enjoy a shampoo that is formulated for thicker textured hair. The crux of it is that sometimes you just need to try these things and see if they work for your hair type. Chemists are brilliant.
Yay!
Big up to chemists. And I have met quite a few chemists from different, colour houses and hair colour brands, styling brands, shampoo brands, and they really are amazing people. And the ingredients, the technology that we have now that goes into these formulations is really fantastic. There's a video here all about clean hair care. I'll link that down below. And there's other videos that go into formulation, etc., etc. But you can't, sometimes it is as specific as the fact that you might have a greasy scalp and dry ends, but a shampoo that is formulated for a greasy scalp and dry ends might not work for you. You might be better off, you might use something that is for textured hair and it might make your hair feel amazing and it might deal with your scalp. So sometimes it's tricky and it is a bit of a minefield, but I can help you with some ingredients. So remembering that there is so much to it, and I often use a detox shampoo on my hair every single time I shampoo it. Does it dry my hair out? No, because it's a great formulation, the K18 detox shampoo, detox peptide prep shampoo. But my scalp's very greasy and quite sensitive, but it really suits me. Would it suit you? Perhaps not. But you need to try these things. And I know sometimes that could be expensive or wasteful. We don't want that. So here are some ingredients lists, okay? Or some things that could be helpful ingredients. Dimethicone, that I talk about in that Clean Beauty video, which is silicone, some of you might know it as. Dimethicone is an amazing ingredient and it gives the hair lots of slip manageability, it helps to detangle. So if you have textured hair or hair that's very coloured, then dimethicone might be something that's really good for you. And it is in a lot of products that you buy from the drugstore and a lot of pro products too. I'm a fan of dimethicone in some products. I like the slip it gives to hair, remembering that when hair is wet or damp, it is much more fragile. So that's dimethicone. That might be something that might work for you. It's also very smoothing, very silkening, adds reflect to the hair as well. It's not a plastic, it's water soluble. There's a lot of myths here on the tinterweb. Sugar or glucose. Now, That's a very, very interesting ingredient. It's been around for a while now. Sugar and glucose are used in products often to either protect the outside of the hair, you know, the fibre of the hair itself, or sugar can be used in some products to give hair volume and texture and physically thicken up the hair. So sugar is a great ingredient as well if you have finer textured hair and you want volume or you want to protect your hair. Silk proteins. Now, a lot of shampoos still do contain silk proteins, and they work in a similar way to dimethicone and then make the hair feel silky. The clue is in the name. So a silk protein, if you have longer hair and you want extra shine, or you have coloured hair and you want extra shine and manageability, silk proteins can be great. Not always naturally derived, as you would think, but they are often naturally derived. Keratin. Our hair contains keratin. It's what kind of makes up the bulk of our hair, if you like. That's why people have keratin treatments and they make the hair feel great, because they're adding keratin to the hair. Keratin can come from lots of different places. There is vegan keratin, there is keratin that isn't vegan. So it's worth bearing that in mind. But because keratin is the building blocks of hair, a shampoo with keratin in it can help to rebuild your hair. But, you know, it will also help to strengthen finer hair, and it will also help to fill in the breakage or the weak spots in thicker hair. Are you following along? Are you getting my gist? Peptides. Well, I'm a huge K18 fan. I used to be an ambassador for the brand. I no longer am, but I'm still using the line because I love it. I wouldn't use it if I didn't like it. I wouldn't tell you about it if I didn't enjoy using it. Peptides, again, are the building blocks of us. We are a peptide, not just one, many. And peptides, we're seeing them a lot. It's a real buzzword, a bit like hyaluronic acid was a while ago. But peptides are a real buzzword. They still are a bit of a buzzword. They are a real buzzword in skincare and hair care. And, you know, they help to add strength, manageability, softness, you know, all the things that they add to our skin as well, they can do for the hair. They're not a miracle, you know, they're not none of these ingredients are miracles. You know, you need to protect your hair, be kind to it, you know, don't brush it too fiercely, don't use too much heat. And when you're going to use heat, you need to protect it. But a peptide is a really good ingredient in any product as far as I'm concerned. The science is quite amazing. If you do a deep dive on the internet into peptides, the science is quite incredible. Glycerin. Now, glycerin, again, it's something that's used in skincare formulations, but in hair care formulations, glycerin is very moisturizing, very hydrating. So if you have very thick textured hair, or your hair feels very dehydrated, which can be different to it being weak, but if your hair feels very dehydrated, glycerin is a great ingredient, and it is in a lot of shampoos and conditioners. The same as panthenol. You'll see that in a lot of shampoos and conditioners from the drugstore and also pro products. Panthenol makes the hair feel very soft, very silky, and often adds body to the texture of the shampoo itself. So there are a few ingredients that I hope that helps. You know, like I said, it is, you know, there are so many options out there, and it isn't one size fits all, but there's a few ingredients that might help. Let's get on to how you go about getting the best from the product once you've chosen the one that you're going to use. Also worth mentioning, just to attach onto those ingredients lists, that just because something is natural or clean doesn't mean that it's going to be better for your hair. Sometimes hair types can need ingredients that are chemical, you know, that are manufactured or synthesized or copied from nature, but they're not necessarily natural. So that's worth bearing in mind. And also, if you do have textured hair or hair that's dehydrated or, you know, needs lots of manageability, sometimes oils, natural oils, can be good ingredients for that reason, and they give the hair lots of slip and hydration and manageability. But don't always think that natural, I'm sure that we're all in the same kind of place with that now, natural is not always better. And if you watch my clean beauty video, you'll realize that clean beauty really is a marketing term, and that's all it is. It's not a bad thing, but it is a marketing term. Now, I do have my notes still with me because I want to make sure that I get all of this right. I don't want to get anything out of order, and I definitely don't want to forget anything. So the process of shampooing your hair at home. And if you're a hair pro watching this, there might be some nuggets of information in here as well for you. My content is for everybody, okay? It's about everyone having great hair regardless of who you are or how much money you have to spend, etc., etc. So the process, first of all, you want to brush the hair, whatever the length of hair is, whether it's shorter or longer, does the miming. You want to brush the hair thoroughly before you go to shampoo your hair. That makes sure that there's no tangles. It makes sure that any hair that is going to fall, we generally lose between 100, 120, some people less, some people more hairs a day. So you want to make sure that if you haven't brushed your hair for a couple of days, that you give it a good brush to get rid of any hair that is removed, any hair that is going to fall. That's the one. Then you want to fully saturate your hair, okay? It's worth remembering here, this is important with water. It's worth mentioning here that it's important that you saturate your hair fully, okay? And the temperature of the water shouldn't be too warm. It shouldn't be too hot, because if your hair is coloured or your hair has a tendency to be fragile, then very hot water, very warm water could damage it more. And I know that some people like really hot water, but I would just go very careful, especially if you have hair that's blonde, that's toned, or you have a permanent colour and you have it refreshed. Very hot or hotter water, warmer water, will make your colour fade quicker. So fully saturate your hair, and then this is a top tip, okay? Once you have wet your hair, whether it's in the shower or over the bath or in the bath, however you choose to do your hair, there's no right or wrong way, then dry your hands off, yes? Shock horror, dry your hands off before you tip the shampoo onto your hands. Now, I know some of you might think if you're in the shower, that's going to be a real pain, but just take the moisture off of your hands before you put the shampoo on. Because the water on your hands, the moisture on your hands will dilute the strength of the surfactants, more of that in a second, in the shampoo, okay? So dry your hands off, put the shampoo on, work it into your hair. I would apply the shampoo, suggest doing it as I do it in the basin in the salon. Do it in 2 lots. So put a small amount of shampoo on first, on the top of the head, and then a small amount of shampoo on the back and the nape of the neck, okay? Drying the hands in between each application. That really does maximise on the surfactants in the shampoo, and the surfactants are what removes the dirt, the grime, the oil, etc., the product build-up from the hair. Looks at iPad. Use the pads of your fingers to lather up the shampoo. I could have done like an insert here of me shampooing my hair, but that's never going to happen. Well, maybe it will at some point. Don't be tempted to use the flat of your hands, because using the palms of your hands like this will tangle up your hair. Okay, hair that is wet is much more susceptible to being tangled because the hair absorbs the water, and the cuticle of the hair, which is the protective layer, will be slightly raised. Cuticles don't open and close like a door, but it does rough up the cuticle, which will mean that the hair could get tangled if you do this. So use the pads of your hands in order to massage the scalp and to work the product in. I've got a big exclamation mark here. Remember that wet hair is fragile. If you take one thing from this video, remember that wet hair is fragile, and if you're really roughing it up really aggressively, you will tangle your hair. If it's chemically treated, very long, textured, even finer in texture, it will tangle, and then you will have to deal with those tangles. And even just being very aggressive with perhaps the palm of your hand and working the hair very aggressively, that can cause mechanical damage. So we've got to be careful with when our hair is wet. Rinse and repeat. Now, this is very interesting, controversial. There's a lot of myths. I would always advocate shampooing your hair less if you can. We'll get into why in a second. Shampooing your hair less and doing it twice. Why do I say that? Well, the first shampoo basically preps the hair to be cleaned. So surfactants, I've already mentioned, are very clever, and I talk about them in my Clean Beauty video. They're very clever compounds, very clever molecules that go in and they find the dirt and they break it down and remove it, and products, etc., oil, and remove it from the scalp and the hair, okay? You're really cleaning your scalp more when you're shampooing your hair. The hair being cleaned is secondary, really. But the first shampoo gets the hair ready for the second shampoo that really does the cleaning. And in order for surfactants to be effective, 2 shampoos is a really good idea. Now, there are caveats to that. I'm just looking at my notes. And it's also worth mentioning here that even if you're using a sodium lauryl sulfate based cleanser, which I'm not against, again, it's in the Clean Beauty video, sodium lauryl sulfate is effective and is extremely efficient and works really well and is not harmful to human beings. It's not been proven to be harmful. There's no clinical data, that it does its job really well. So the first shampoo will get the hair ready and it will start the cleansing process, and the second shampoo will do that cleansing. If you're using an SLS free cleanser, it's the same situation. Now, there are exceptions to that. If you shampoo your hair most days, like I do at the moment, then I would say you probably only need to shampoo your hair the once, because the dirt and the oil and the pollution and product won't have built up in the hair enough to really warrant 2 shampoos, okay? There we go. When you've shampooed your hair and you've rinsed the shampoo from your hair, okay, sometimes some products have added benefits for leaving them in the hair for a minute or two. If you're using something that's calming your scalp, or if you're using something that's a shampoo in particular that's moisturizing the mid lengths and ends, leaving it in there for a minute or two might be beneficial. Obviously follow manufacturer's guidelines. Rinse the product out. If you're shampooing your hair in the shower or over the bath or over a shower, keep the hair, if it's long or chemically treated, all flowing in the same direction. That means that as the water flows through the hair will untangle a little and make the combing process when you finish shampooing and you towel dry your hair much easier. Lastly, don't rub the hair with a towel. This is kind of like a very popular one and you see it a lot. Don't rub the hair very vigorously for all the reasons I stated above, and that will tangle the hair up more and those cuticles on the hair will stick together. If you think of Velcro, that's what will happen, is that the hair will stick together and make it much harder for you to comb it through. And then if it is tangly, I would suggest that you use something like a wet brush. That's, if you check out my shop up video, the last shop up video that I did, I talk about tools, brushes and combs, and there's a wet brush featured in there. Absolutely love them. They're so brilliant at getting out tangles. So that's it. Now we have to talk about how often is too often. Now I don't need my iPad for this one because it's one of those things it's ingrained in my head as a hair professional, and I can share it with you now that you can shampoo your hair as much as you want to. I probably wouldn't suggest shampooing your hair twice a day. I would suggest if you have very textured hair and you like to flatten it out, blow it out, smooth it out, use hot tools, I would probably suggest that you shampoo your hair less, purely because the heat styling will damage your hair over time, even with heat protectors, which we must use if we're going to use heated styling tools on our hair. You must use a heat protector, otherwise your hair will become damaged over time. But how often you want to shampoo your hair is how often you want to shampoo your hair. There is so much nonsense, nearly said something else then, on the internet. It's up to you. If you're using good hair care and you're being gentle with your hair, then shampoo your hair as much as you want to. Sometimes I shampoo my hair every day. Sometimes I shampoo it every 3rd day. When it's bleached, I might shampoo it once a week, but you do what you want to do. Don't listen to myths and listen to all this nonsense and listen to some of the clickbait, or watch the clickbait and really take it to heart. And at the same time, try not to overthink it. If you're using products that you love, products that look after your hair, whether they're from the drugstore or they're pro products, they don't need to be expensive or all natural or SLS free. If you're using what you like to use and it's getting you good results, then the reality of it is you can shampoo your hair whenever you want to, as much as you want to, and you won't do it any harm. Hallelujah. So that's a lot of information in the shortest space of time that I can possibly fit it all in. I think this is probably going to be quite a long video, but what have we learned? We have learned that different shampoos for different hair types don't always, or will actually give great results on the different sorts of hair types than they're actually formulated for. Goodness me, who knew? So really it is a case of trial and error. Shampooing your hair is a system. If you follow the steps that are in this video, then you will get great results and you will do less damage to your hair. I hope that they are helpful. And then also, how often can you shampoo your hair? You can shampoo your hair as often as you want. You won't do it any harm. If you've got this far in the video, a huge thank you for watching this. What would you like to see? Which would you like to see next in this How to Get the Best Of series? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, if you leave me a comment, I will always get back to you. I can't give you very specific hair colour formulas because I can't see you. So that makes it all very, very tricky. And as always, if you enjoyed this and found it helpful, you know exactly what to do. That's it for this time. You all take lots of care and I'll see you all in the next one.